Hey guys, I just wanted to show you this little video that I made of the difficulties I'm having with the bushing on a 4L60 pump. Going on to the input shaft of the transmission. Initially I thought I had these 4 rings, these Teflon rings. I thought that they were interfering with the pump sliding on. And this is all after I rebuilt the transmission, replaced the bushings, replaced just about all the hard parts and O-rings and just everything, clutches, etc. So I thought that I had interference issues here. So I got a compressor, which is a resizer of these Teflon rings, and slid it over, kept it on there for a long period of time, and quickly took it off. Tried to see if the pump assembly would go on, and it did not. I also have these other Teflon rings on the pump, which was this resizing tool, and these are pretty much necessary when you do change these, because it does shrink the diameter. But that wasn't the problem that I'm having. The problem I'm having is that when I get the pump down onto the shaft, it is stopping part way. And from the top of this shaft to this shaft, there's, it's coming down about this far. Well, it's got to come down at least below this groove for an O-ring. So, let me just show you about how far it comes down. And that's about where it stops. So I thought, well, it can't be these Teflon rings, or maybe it is, but I wanted to check in the opposite direction. This bushing was replaced, and this bushing was replaced. And what's end up happening is this. If I put it on upside down to verify that this bushing clears this shaft diameter, watch this. We get stuck right there. And so these are all the parts that initially were in the transmission, the pump and the output unit, or the input unit. I still have the old bushing. It's marked up and marred for me chiseling it out. But I wanted to verify that the old bushing fit, and it's snug, but it goes on. Let's see. And it goes on fine. It's just snug. But it's got to be at an absolute correct alignment with the shaft while it's, inside the pump. So that's the old, this is the new, and I cannot get this bushing over top of the shaft. What I failed to do, and what I wish I would have done before I installed the bushing into the pump, is slide it on just like I did with the old one to make sure that it has all the clearance that it needs. So this transmission is driving me crazy. I can't seem to get it finished. I guess what I'll do is probably order a new bushing, and this was in a Remco kit, rebuild kit. Everything else fit and worked fine, but like I said, I'm not sure if it's the bushing or not, or if it's this diameter of this pump shaft, if when I put it in, and it's not marked up, it's all good surface on the inside. If when I put it in, it didn't squeeze down the diameter of the inner diameter of the bushing to make it smaller than it needs to be to fit over this shaft. So that's where I'm at. It's always something. This is the first 4L60 and 65 transmission that I've rebuilt, and I hope to not have to do it again, because it's kind of a pain. Although now that I know some of the pitfalls, it would probably go a little bit better the next time. So anyway, that's the problem I have, and I'll see if when I buy another bushing, if that bushing is going to fit. I've done a little bit of research on the bushing sizes, and apparently there is a difference. Two different types so far that I've found. One was for a narrow shaft, and one for a not narrow, so it's a little bit larger. Well, I did some measurements on this shaft and also then on the bushing, and found that this shaft diameter is, oops, what happened here? My caliper died. The battery is intermittent. Okay, let's try this again. It should be, I think, well, I measured 1 inch earlier. So let's see if it stays alive long enough. Okay, so it is 0.999 inches. And I found online that one of the bushings that was available was a 1 inch inside diameter on the bushing. So it is set at 0.999, and this, and we can still insert it, but there's just a slight, it's just slightly smaller. So as a real coarse check, it is 0.9885. So what I ended up doing, I ordered another bushing, and it's probably going to be here in a few days. I am going to slide it on to the shaft to make sure that it fits and has enough clearance, and then I'll install it into the, I guess it's the stator. It's the front stator on the pump, and give it a try. But we won't know until I get the new part. So the part was like $3 and shipping was $6. It's just a matter of waiting for it and the time. So it just continues. Hopefully once I get it to work and to mate with each other, I'll be able to finish installing the input unit with a pump, close up the guts of the transmission, and then finish putting in the solenoids. There's 2 solenoids that have to be put in the accumulator, and then put the bell housing on it, and I can set it to the side. It should be ready to then test once I get it into the vehicle. And it's going to go into a 51 Ford pickup. What I've got to then check on is mate it with the engine, and I've got to verify where my engine mounts are going to be onto the frame, and then see if I've got to cut into the firewall at all to make clearance for the tranny. So there we are. we'll wait to see what happens when we get these parts. By the way, the Baltimore Orioles are probably going to be sold to a new owner. News came out today for something like 1 something billion dollars. They're valued at 1.7 something billion, which is crazy. So anyway, I'll just keep making these videos. It's been several days since we had the transmission attempting to reassemble, and finally I've got some new bushings that came today. So let's have a look at these. So bushings, I hope. I ordered these through Global Transmission Parts, and they're out of Circleville, Ohio. So I'm going to try to just test fit this bushing that is on the output of the pump closest to the torque converter. Make sure that that fits here. So oh, very nice. Global Transmission Parts. Thank you for your order. transmissionparts.com. We hope to serve you again. Well, if they work out, they might be. The nice thing about this bushing is that on their website, it's listed as the front stator support bushing used for the big input shaft. And I think that is part of the problem. The bushing that I got in the rebuild kit was for the other shaft. I hope. I mean, it's close, but the real test is, yep, that I believe is the one. So what's happening is this other bushing was getting hung up right about here and wouldn't allow the pump to go on any further. So I'm going to knock out this bushing that doesn't work and hope for the best. So I made up this little tool that will, let me turn you down here a little bit. So this tool is just a stainless steel rod, and I have a bunch of it from my 34 Ford when I made the grill. But what I'll do is put it in here, and this little bend gives enough bend that it will catch on the edge of the bushing. That's how I knocked these out the first time. And I think maybe what I need to do is put this on a block, or I'll try it right here. Let's see. This. So, yep. So for this transmission, there are two different size bushing, or two different size shafts. I believe from the early 80s version up until the early 90s version. This is the thinner shaft, and so this is from 2004 Escalade, which is then the later version, and that is the fat bushing, or the fat shaft needing a different bushing. So, all right, let me get this thing knocked out and we'll put in a new one. This transmission and bushing has been fighting me all the way. Finally got the old bushing out, and it's a little bit mangled up, but it has a part number of 953 SAP-42237. the new part, which slips on the shaft really nice, is part number 220. I don't know who the manufacturer is, but it's Global Transmission Parts is where I got it from. So I'm going to see how this goes in. If it squeezes tight after it's been inserted, then something else has got to be wrong. But everything appears to be fine. So let's get this inserted. The tool size, which is the right one, fits in there just perfect, so I don't gouge out any on the edge. And this is a 1 by 1 1/8. So got it in. It is perfect. No gouging. No problem. So the real test is if it's going to go on the shaft. Let's find out. No, it does not. It is. Oh, there it goes. All right, I think it's going to go. Oh, it's about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch from this hole. Let me try to get it back off because it's got to get turned around. While I'm here, I also ordered 4 new Teflon rings just in case I gouge and bust up the old ones, or the ones that I put in from the rebuild kit. And when I get this pump off here, I'll take a look and see if I have to put these on. But yeah, the original ones were in pretty decent shape, but they had a little nick in them. And then I put the new ones from the rebuild kit on, and I took one off. So I might end up putting on these 4 new ones. But let me get this off here, and we'll find out. All right, so we have the clutch pack and we have the 2 major pieces put back together inside the transmission case, and I'm trying to line up all the teeth on the clutches. So I think it all the way down. It's hard to tell exactly. I didn't put any reference marks on it, but based on how deep this drum is, we can kind of get an idea. And putting the band on will probably confirm. And I think we're right where we need to be. Let me just play with this one more time just to make sure. So I have these vice grips on the spline, not real tight. You don't want to mar up any of this spline. And I think we're there. So have it. Put the band on. Sometimes this is a little challenging too. I did not soak this with transmission fluid. I'm going to pour a little bit on here because I did see one guy that did use a little bit of ATF1, and eventually it's going to get covered in fluid anyway. So I'll put some on here. And just kind of smear it in there. Well, we first start up this engine and the tranny, and once the pump starts to work, it's going to pump fluid onto and through just about all these parts. Okay. This guy in here. Like I said, sometimes this is a challenge just because to get it hooked in. Oh, this base area. And I need a little bit of persuader. Screwdriver. Tap the all right, no sense in you watching me struggle. Let me get it in here and I'll show you the rest. She slipped on there just like a glove. I couldn't believe it. When I had it reversed and just tested, it only went down part way, but we're looking really good here. So, we got all the guts, put the gasket on. I didn't lube up or re-lube up the gasket, the big O-ring that goes around the pump, but it's got enough assembly lube on it, I believe. And we're going to start putting in the bolts. I did replace each of the O-rings on all these bolts. They have a seal. They're all brand new. So they seal the pump to the casing. And so right now it's a matter of just reassembling and torquing down the bolts. I've got to double check the torque specs, which I don't know what they are off the top of my head. They'll go on. We can't forget to put this O-ring on the shaft. And then it's a matter of reassembling the rest of the valve body. I just have to put in 2 solenoids, the filter, and let's see what else. The cover, and then I think this accumulator, if you can see that. That's going to go on. We bought a new Corvette style. So that should do it. So I didn't plan to make this a real long video, but I just wanted to show you the difficulties that I had reassembling it, and found out that O-ring that came in the kit was for the different shaft size. So beware if you guys are buying any kind of rebuild kit. There's a difference based on the newer years versus the older years. The older years of this transmission have the thinner shaft. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video, and I'm going to finish assembling and then mate it up to the engine, and then we plan to do a dry fit and see how far back we can put this transmission and engine because of the core support, and that's one of the critical things. So I may be cutting into the firewall to allow some room for the trainer to slip back there. But in the meantime, I'm going to be finishing up cleaning up the firewall. That's another video, but I have plugged all the holes. I welded all the holes shut, used a flat sander and cleaned off that firewall. I've got to finish welding in a small patch panel over in front of the left side of the driver's foot. There's a little bit of rust there, so I've got to fix that. I fixed the rust on the other side, on the passenger side, at the base of that panel just in front of the door, and that is good. So I've got to finish wire brushing, sanding the firewall, and prep it for epoxy primer. So that will then seal that metal and anything underneath of it. And then we can start the body filler. But anyway, this video is about it. I'm happy to see this pump go back in place. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next time.